where to begin. And you may be living in total gray, or you may be ready to renovate and frustrated, quite frankly, with a potentially outdated trend that you fully invested in, and now they're saying it needs updating, right? I'm sorry. Or do you have a space that you love, yet you're still looking for something in your life, right? Like you're not fully getting what, it's not feeding your soul, right? So I believe that your home is your sanctuary and should support and rejuvenate you and help you live out your life and fulfill your dreams. And I think it's possible because I'm doing that. So, hi, my name's Erica Meyer, and I'm an architect. And back in 2007, I had a go-go corporate architecture job where I traveled a lot and got to speak to so many different amazing people, and I loved it. But I also wanted a love in my life. And I was finding it really hard to dedicate time at home to cultivate that relationship, right? I didn't have any time to date at that moment. And I guess I was frustrated with the whole process. So somehow I looked into Feng Shui, and lo and behold, I hired a consultant. And not long after, I met the man of my dreams, and we are now married, moving through life together, designing this life together. So it worked. Feng Shui worked. And ultimately, I wanted to show you here, I'm not a Feng Shui consultant. I'm going to show you at a very high level how you can implement a number of these practices into your life. And to just tell you a little bit more about my journey, after I got married, my husband and I, we went to a life design course. And if you've done any of those kind of self-improvement courses, we had it was like a radial graph that was divvied up into sectors. And that exercise made me think of back to Feng Shui. And I was like, whoa, these relate somehow. Life moved on, but it was noted in my brain here. I had that same Feng Shui consultant come back and Feng Shui the house that we bought and put good Feng Shui into practice. And then we bought another house and I used some of those principles. We moved out of state, so I just did the best I could and kind of kept reminding myself of these aspects of my life that I wanted to improve. And then it wasn't until the house that I'm sitting in right now, we built this house in 2018, did the Feng Shui practices click in with my architectural background, because I could make choices. And because I got to build this house with a developer, a housing developer, I did get to make more selections than I did in those first two houses. But now that I know this, I could go back into, if I don't build my next house, now I know how to employ this design system no matter what. And it's a very simplified Feng Shui. It's a good foundation. And then I've got a little twist on Feng Shui and then a personal color palette. So no matter what, it's speaking to you and your soul and what your dreams are. I'm so excited. I have so many videos to tell you about this, and I'm going to try to be as simple as I possibly can. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay, so let me first, just at the most high level, there are so many amazing Feng Shui consultants, designers, practitioners on YouTube. They can give you a full rundown history of it all. But at the most basic, highest level, it's thousands of years old and was a system designed to improve the energy in your house. So to improve your life. And originally, I believe it was for emperors. Favorite parts about the practice, and there are lots of tools, and it's including the cosmos, but the few that I want to focus on are the compass, which has certain sectors, and each sector represents a part of that which we desire. The next favorite element is the elements. There are 5 elements in Feng Shui, and those 5 elements actually go through a lot of Chinese practices like acupuncture and other things. But my interest is that they are water, fire, earth, wood, and metal, which architecturally relate. They all have a color families associated with them, which again, as an architect interested in interior design that improves your life, that excites me. The command position, you'll often hear consultants talking about the command position. I think that's really important to take control of your life and your space. So we'll go into that. And object placement, which at its very basic core, just cleaning, moving objects and cleaning them shifts the energy. So I do believe in that object placement. And I think there's a lot of room for your own interpretation. And it doesn't have to be very, specific things, as long as, quite frankly, you're post-rationalizing what's important to you into that object and where you put it in your house. Okay. And I'll just give you some guidelines. If it works for you, I'm so excited. And if it doesn't, I still hope you come back for more video. All right. Okay. So as I mentioned, Feng Shui includes the cosmos, right? It can go up into astrology and large cycles that are 20 years, 180 years. I mean, it's big. Okay. So it can be very confusing. And let me show you an example of my confusion from back in 2007. I'm pretty excited that I still have this sketch. As architects, we like to have these little sketches. So let me hit record. Okay. What you can see here, this light outline underneath, is the apartment that I was living at the time. It was by the ocean. It was so beautiful. And let me get the right pen that I want here, the red pen here. And as I mentioned, there is a compass in Feng Shui. And so it's important to know, which way is north. I got that right. I got north right, and the east and the south and the west. Excellent. I got those right. Pretty much everything else, almost all of it wrong. I don't know. Well, I have a theory of why I messed this up, but things like marriage and relationships is not the sector in the north, but water and blue. Okay, 2 things out of 6 or 7 right. So I luckily, thank goodness, was able to find a local Feng Shui consultant, sent her an improved floor plan with all my little furniture at the time. And as I mentioned, I was most concerned about finding a relationship, my marriage, my long-term love. So we can see here, the north had that right, and it's actually career. And as I said, my career was going pretty good at the time. I was pretty happy with that. But in the southwest is relationships, okay? And we'll go into all of these sectors later on. But I wanted to point out that I did this altar, and I moved furniture around per her recommendation in my bedroom and throughout the apartment. We changed artwork, and I created this altar. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of it anymore, but I had these 2 cute little birds. I do have a picture of the little birds, but not in the right space. And like I said, it worked. So now that we're here, I want to show you my interpretation of the compass and tell you why this all got messed up. And my theory is because this system was developed in China 2,000 years ago. Think about it. 2,000 years ago, we didn't have electricity. We didn't have heating and cooling. And so what was the most important thing? The sun. And what I love about the Feng Shui system, once you wrap your head around where all the placement goes, is that it is dependent on the sun. The sun for all of us, no matter where we are in the world, it rises in the east and sets in the west. But years ago, again, the sun, most important, heating your home, cooling your home, the prevailing winds that take the smells away, all of that had to be considered. So I think that Feng Shui compass has south at the top because of the importance of the sun and warmth. Now, as an architect in North America, it's important for industry standards that north is at the top of the page. I don't know why they chose north at the top of the page, but across the industry, if you're looking at a site plan, if you're looking at Google Maps, north is at the top of the page. It's at the top of your phone. So that difference of having a tool which has south at the top and then my brain, which has got north at the top of drawings and GPS mapping, that's where the confusion happened. It doesn't need to be that hard. Okay, so on the screen here, you can see my color compass. And you place the color compass at the center of your space. And if you're in North America, if you're in South America, hang on. Number one, thank you for watching. Number two, I've got you. Okay. So this compass is going to go at the center of your floor plan, be it a big floor plan or a small floor plan. It's going to encompass all of the space in your dominion. Okay. Let me zoom out ever so slightly here so I can show you a line that we're going to represent as the equator. Okay. And the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And as you can see here, these warm colors are closer to the equator. And you can see I've got another mirror image of the compass. And that is because up at the top here, we're going to put the North Pole and the South Pole, which are cold, right? It's warm along the equator, cold at the poles. And so those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you're just going to mirror this down, right? Because it's all based on sun and warmth and cold. Okay, so now we're going to zoom in. And as we can see here, there are 8 sectors around. So we have north, I'm just going to put in north, east, and west. And then we have southeast, southwest, northwest, and northeast. And then, of course, the center is very important too. All of these cardinal directions and subsections all represent different aspects of life that we want to enhance and grow and thrive in. So let me start to tell you about them. They relate to one of the 5 elements, and thus that's why they are given colors as well. And then eventually I will show you then how to interpret them into building materials, paint materials, etc. So let's start in the southeast, because southeast is where the sun rises, and it is where we focus on wealth and prosperity. It's represented by wood, which is growth, and thus green colors. And to think about it in a perspective of thousands of years ago, that which you want to plant, to grow, needs to be in the southeast with plenty of water and sunshine, right? That's where you're going to plant your crops. So green is an appropriate color. Reds and purples are also placed in that sector, which just reminds me of the abundance of fruit and vegetables amongst green fields. Okay, so there we go. So southeast, wealth, prosperity, abundance. In the east is a sector for family and community, more things that you want to grow and prosper. And again, represented by wood, but a slightly darker, right? As we get more north. Okay, into the northeast is spirituality and knowledge. Know thyself, right? And north, as previously mentioned, is career, and we'll say career path. However squiggly it may be. In the northwest is often referred to the sector of travel and helpful people. In the west is the sector of creativity, and southwest is love and relationships. And finally, directly south is often called the sector of fame and reputation. And I think today, in today's world, it's also called your personal brand. Pretty cool, huh? And then right at the center is health. And what's the old saying, right? Without your health, you have nothing. So at the very center of your house is the focus on your health. So there we have it. And here's another super cool thing. And I'm just going to draw this with my little crayon and change this into a 9-square grid with these colors. All right, is that, Southwest didn't quite get in there. Go over there. Wonder if I can back it up too, and we'll try to make it a little bit more even. Okay, architect, knock it off. Close enough. Okay. Now, the other interesting thing about the arrangement, right? So again, in personal development courses, we've got all of these areas oftentimes on those radial goal graphics, but I like the way that these align with how the sun is moving through the day and how it's moving through our lives and how it's moving seasonally. All shows up in this 9-square grid, which is pretty fun. So let me show you how that is. So on this lower section, the southern, not lower 3 squares here, they're squares. They are very publicly facing, right? They're relying on the sun. So let's go through the day. Southeast, that's where you're going to plant your crops, where you're going to make sure that the garden is properly aligned, right? Where your wealth is, all that your dreams of wealth there and prosperity, what prosperity means to you. We'll talk about that later. It doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, and that's okay. In the center of the day, high noon, fame and reputation, your personal brand. When the sun is shining on your face, be true to yourself and, clean out that which is not aligning with your public persona that you want. And then in the Southwest, as the sun sets at the end of the day, your love and relationships, you want to be there with your cutie, going into the dark, cold night together, right? We move up 1 row here to the center, and it gets a little bit more private, but it's kind of a shared space in a way, right? So if the lower sector is, in fact, more public, the center sector is a shared space. There are more people potentially in there, be it a nuclear family or a family you created in your community. Your health, again, is at the center of your day and making sure that all of these other sectors can thrive. And then at the end of the day, if this is the end of the day, create at the top sectors are all of these much more personal areas. Your spirituality and your knowledge, the pursuit of who am I, it's definitely a private one. Your career path and what that purpose ultimately is, if it's a purpose of service or whatever it may be, like that is your personal choice. And then in this top northwest corner, travel and helpful people, it's basically, let's go back to here, it's your dreams, right? That's your dreams up here. And we can also look at this 9-square grid going from right to left as the sun crosses over the day. The first vertical section is at the beginning of the day. Think about that. Gratitude for all that you have. Your family, check in with that family in your community and make sure everybody's okay. And then your spirituality and knowledge, perhaps that's meditation. Oh, and oftentimes this Eastern is also considered for exercise. I knew I was forgetting something. Exercise. So think about that. Practices at the beginning of the day, practice gratitude, exercise, meditation, center of the day, career, and your personal brand reputation, they feed each other. Oftentimes with the way that this particular grid is arranged, they feed each other. So your career and your reputation, your career will grow as your reputation grows and, vice versa. I just love it. And all revolving around your health because think of, when you're in poor health, it just makes everything harder, right? And if you're on a health struggle, I feel for you. We all have ebbs and flows through our lives. And if you're really struggling with health right now, think about that in your center of your home, potentially is that's where you want to start. Like I started back in that love sector in the Southwest. But if you're suffering with health issues, maybe the center of your house is the best place to start. Okay. And then at the end of the day, so this final sector here in the vertical, think about like your love and your sweetie, and you want that at the end of the day. Your creativity is often joy and children. I forgot children and travel and helpful people. These are your dreams, which oftentimes this travel and helpful people sector then relates to your wealth and prosperity. And think about, how these other corners, the Northeast and the Southwest corner, how your spirituality and knowledge often helps you grow in your love and relationships. Oh, I just love it. I love how they're all connected. So that's it with this for today. So this is my color compass. I know that's a lot, and I have so many more videos to dive into all of these specific areas in the 9-square grid, in their colors, their elements, how they can apply to, not everybody's got a kitchen in the same grid. And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the desire to follow a trend or not? And then, I showed you these colors on here, greens and blues and grays and warmer colors and yellows. Those colors, obviously I chose colors that relate to me on that graphic, but you may prefer a different green, a different blue, and I've got a solution for that too. So in the next coming video, I will show you, it all happened about the same time, a color palette solution. So how you can find the right colors for you and how they relate then to your house potentially. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Your homework is, I've got some homework for you. In the area that you want to improve the most, that is most on your heart, that needs to be addressed, go start to clean and organize that area. Just dust it. Just declutter, whatever it may be. Just pick something up, shift it around. Just by doing that, you are shifting the energy for the better. And then go ahead and dream about all 9 of these sectors. What is your ideal? Perhaps you already have a vision board that you've created long ago. Pull that thing out and start looking like, oh yeah, that's health related. That's relationship related. That's wealth. That's my career. And I will show you how to then transpose these into your home so that when you're in your home, you're going to remember like, oh yeah, kind of having I'm bumping up against some stuff here. Why don't I go back and clean that space? Or maybe I am going to finally paint that room green or whatever it may be. So your homework, once again, is to clean and then dream. You don't need to go buy any paint right now. You don't need to go buy anything. Just clean and dream. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.